I think that Amsterdam is a sharing city because it's really in our DNA, but also because we are a city that likes to innovate, try new things, and I think sharing is also about innovation. It's also about the new possibilities that the platform economy is offering. So Amsterdam feels like the right place to try new things. So that's why I'm proud to say that Amsterdam is a sharing city.
Okay, and we always see that there are opportunities and of course also challenges.
Yeah.
Maybe first step into the opportunities briefly. What do you see as one of the opportunities from the sharing or platform economy for the city of Amsterdam?
Well, the opportunity is of course that for the people in Amsterdam, that they can profit from it. I think we were one of the first cities where car sharing was tried, and we have relatively little space in Amsterdam, and it's expensive to have your own car and to park your own car. So that's a great example, I think, of something that is profitable for the people of Amsterdam. And now we see that there is much more than just car sharing. I think that we're only at the beginning of what the sharing economy can bring to the people of Amsterdam.
Okay. And what would be one of the challenges that you see, maybe from the early stage or at this moment?
Well, what the challenges that we see in Amsterdam, I think, are the challenges that many sharing cities see. And that is why we focus very much on working with the companies that offer these new services. Often there are services that are provided by the platform. Of course, an example that everybody knows is Airbnb. Or the holiday rental of houses. There are of course other companies, but Airbnb is the biggest one. And the challenge is that we don't have the right regulation, because when the regulation was put in place, it didn't exist yet. So how do we as a government, city government, respond to this new possibility, which can also be a threat to your city? And that's why we align with other cities who have exactly the same issue, to learn from each other. And the way we deal with it might be a lesson for other cities, but vice versa. We can learn from other cities in the way they deal with the new platform economy.
And which lessons have been learned so far? For example, with dealing with the sharing economy platforms or the role of the platforms?
Well, I think the most important lesson is that you have to work with the companies. You have to have a dialogue. You have to find solutions that work for you as a city and for your citizens, but also for the company. So you have to understand their business model. You have to understand the way it works. So cooperate. That's really important. And secondly, look at your own regulation and at the issues, and where that doesn't fit, you try to be quick in responding, to try to be quick in finding new regulation that does work. And there are issues. So for instance, worker safety. If you go into Amsterdam and you see all these bicycles delivering food, then you immediately understand that there is an issue, because what happens if there is an accident, for instance? Who is responsible? And these are the issues that we have to deal with, and like I said, always in dialogue with the companies.
We believe that pilot projects are also really important for a city to test and learn from it, and of course afterwards always also share that with other cities. So what could be a more recent example in Amsterdam of a pilot project? Well,
what we have tried in Amsterdam is to reach out to the lower incomes and also to elderly people. For instance, there is a service called Thuis Afgehaald, which is, people, they cook at home and sometimes they have more food than they're going to eat themselves. And the platform provides the service to make sure that this food goes to someone who needs it and wants it. So we have linked the platform to the system that we have, so we know who the lower income people are, and to make sure that the connection is made, and the same for elderly people. I think this is important not only to help these people, but also it provides a certain way of a new social cohesion in the city, to connect these people to the new platform economy. And I think this is an interesting example that we have in Amsterdam.
Thank you. If we look at the Sharing Cities Alliance, and of course you were the initiator of the very first Sharing Cities Summit last year, and of course in 2017, this year, the second edition was in New York City.
Yes.
So what do you think the most important role of the Sharing Cities Alliance is, for example, for your city?
Well, first of all, I thought it was very inspiring, both here in Amsterdam and in New York City. We saw this year that the network is already expanding. So there are many cities who are working on this issue, who feel that they are a sharing city, that see the advantages of sharing for their city and their citizens. So making the network bigger means that we also learn more from each other. That is the big advantage that I see. And the second one is that I think that if we share our knowledge, that we are also stronger in dealing with the effects of the sharing economy. And also stronger in dealing with the companies that develop very quickly, that innovate very quickly. As a government, you risk being one step behind, but if you team up with other cities, I think you have a better dialogue and a better response to the effects that the sharing economy can have.
What we see from our perspective is that it's always really important to keep a balance between, let's say, technology and society.
Yeah.
And of course those online platforms are having a big role there.
Absolutely.
And are maybe sometimes becoming really powerful.
Yeah.
Which is in one way that's maybe really efficient and convenient for people to have these platforms in place, but of course it also brings challenges for a city, also as to policy and regulation, etc. So what is your perspective on this enormous growth and development of online platforms?
You're absolutely right. These developments can go very, very fast. And governments cannot keep up at the same pace as companies sometimes. And in cities, we know that we depend also on national regulation or European regulation, but that also takes a lot of time. And we don't have that time. Therefore I think that the alliance is very important, because then we can learn from each other, we can immediately exchange information, so we know from each other how we are dealing with issues, what we're saying to the platform companies that are active in our cities, and that makes us stronger as cities. So I think that it is really necessary to make sure that we profit from the positive effects, but that we also deal with the negative effects. And I think that the network companies the platform companies are quite aware of the fact that the cities are aligning through this alliance and really working on that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.